Just because these are amongst some of the most successful people on earth doesn't mean everything has come easily for them. Here are 8 famous Chinese celebrities who had difficult and traumatic upbringings. When Tianyu was 5, his mother, overwhelmed by family pressures, ended her life. She asked him to buy sleeping pills and keep the change for chocolate. Reflecting on this, Tianyu said, "If I hadn't craved that chocolate, maybe I wouldn't be orphaned now." His father left due to mounting debts. Tianyu and his sisters were raised by their grandparents, who did their best despite their difficult circumstances. They also had a younger brother, but he was kidnapped by debt collectors and never seen again. Money was tight, so Tianyu's older sister sacrificed her own education to allow him to attend school. But even then, they couldn't afford the 3 renminbi in school fees, and Tianyu had to drop out. He ended up doing various manual labor jobs, from working on a farm to digging sewer ditches. At 16, Tianyu moved to Beijing with his uncle, carrying just 70 cents. He helped sell food products and worked in bars. One day, a customer suggested he try out for My Hero, a now-defunct national male talent show. That advice changed his life, leading him to the success he enjoys today. Liu Yuning lost his father at 4 and was raised by his grandparents while his mother worked. The family lived in poverty, sleeping on the floor around a fireplace. After his grandmother's death, Yuning relied on his ailing grandfather. Despite these struggles, Yuning's love for music never wavered, though he couldn't afford lessons. Despite graduating from culinary school, his real passion was music. He took on various jobs, including passing out flyers and cooking, to support his dream. With his first paycheck, he bought a guitar and played during breaks. His love for music never faded, even while working hard to make ends meet. He even performed as a singer in bars and hot pot restaurants, often getting paid only through customer tips or sometimes not at all. Reflecting on his past, Yuning said, "What you call poverty is when there's something you want and you have no money to buy it. I was really poor. At my poorest, I had 2 yuan in my pocket and ate only 1 meal a day. When it was time to eat, and people went to lunch, I didn't go. I would say I wasn't hungry. I would find a quiet place for 40 minutes and then go back to work. I would lie and say I'd eaten because I just didn't have the money." Despite the challenges, Yuning eventually found success as a singer and actor, and he's not going back to poverty anytime soon. Jing Boran's parents struggled with their relationship. They were just kids themselves and constantly fought. His father had a gambling problem, and his mother was unhappy. When Jing was born, things worsened. "My arrival was not a joyous occasion for them," Jing recalled. "They felt I was just another problem to deal with." At just 28 days old, Jing's mother abandoned him, leaving him in the care of his grandparents. His father, still hooked on gambling, was absent. Jing shared a painful memory. "When I went to my father for help, he just said, 'Get out, you're a burden.' That rejection was devastating." Despite the hardship, Jing's grandparents took him in and did everything they could to provide for him, picking up scraps to make ends meet. "They never complained," Jing said. "I saw them struggling, but they never made me feel like a burden." Even as a child, Jing noticed his parents' absence during school events. "I remember other kids saying, 'Jing's a wild child without parents,'" he said. "It hurt to hear that, but I never let it show." Jing recalled a brief moment with his mother. "I was thrilled to see her. She hugged me, and I thought everything would be okay. But the next morning, she was gone again. It felt like she had never been there." Jing worked part-time jobs to support his family. When his grandmother was hospitalized, his father refused to help. Despite this, Jing stayed determined and kept working hard. His persistence paid off when he got into the Academy of Art. Jing's big break came when he attended a dinner party he usually avoided. "That's where I met the director who changed my life," he said. His talent and looks won him the national championship on Come On! Good Man, launching his career. Zhang Songwen's journey began with hardship. His early years were tough. In an interview, he revealed, "Let me tell you something I've never told reporters. When I was little, my parents couldn't care for me, so they sent me to live with an old lady in the countryside. It was there, with Uncle Liu, that Zhang's love for movies was sparked. I watched The Handcuffed Passenger over and over," he recalls. Tragedy struck early in Zhang's life. "My mom was a doctor, always busy," he explains. "I was often with neighbors." When he was 13, his mother fell ill with cancer. "We spent everything trying to save her," he says sadly. She passed away when he was 14. Mother's Day is especially hard for Zhang. "I can't celebrate," he admits. "It's too painful. I miss her every day," he says, but he finds comfort in believing she watches over him. After graduating from vocational high school, Zhang Songwen took on various jobs to make ends meet. Printing calendars in a factory, washing dishes at a food stall, installing air conditioners, and washing bottles in a soda factory. He later became a tour guide, a job he excelled at for 5 years. During this time, a co-worker convinced him to chase his dream of becoming an actor. He quit his job and flew to Beijing to enroll in the Beijing film industry. Although it took over 20 years for him to gain the recognition he deserves, he's made up for it with the hit dramas he's been part of in recent years. In the Chinese documentary My Legacy, Shu Qi shared her troubled childhood and admitted to being a rebellious teenager. She revealed that her parents often beat her, so she learned to be observant of their moods from a young age to avoid being yelled at or beaten. Whenever I heard the sound of my father's motorcycle coming home, I'd run as far away as I could to hide, even if it was in the middle of the night, she recalled. At 15 or 16, she decided to run away from home. Lacking enough money for rent, she borrowed 5,000 Taiwan dollars from her mother. Reflecting on a painful childhood memory, she shared, "Once, after getting into a car accident while playing, I was completely injured. Instead of receiving comfort, my mother scolded me." Feeling unloved and misunderstood at home, Shu Qi often ran away, seeking distance and freedom. She told herself, "Run as far as you can, and hide in the middle of the night." She ran away from home no less than 10 times, driven by a desire to escape the emotional neglect. In 1992, 16-year-old Shu Qi returned home and noticed her mother's hair had turned white from worry. Feeling guilty, she decided to drop out of school and work to support her family. Despite a tough start, Shu Qi earned critical acclaim and won numerous awards for her performances. Chen Kun had a strained relationship with his father, who divorced his mother and remarried, bringing in a new stepmother and stepbrother. One of Chen Kun's few warm memories of his father is when he offered him a bowl of cherries at his grandmother's house. When Chen Kun was 6, he went to his father's house during the Spring Festival, hoping to get some New Year's Eve money. "Where would we get the money for you?" His stepmother harshly replied, and his father didn't defend him. Instead, he was scolded and kicked out. This experience made Chen Kun feel rejected and unloved. Later, Chen Kun and his younger brother were left with their grandmother until he was 11. His mother then remarried, and their new family of 5 lived in a cramped 13-square-meter house, struggling to make ends meet. Despite the hardships, Chen Kun's stepfather treated him well, giving him small amounts of New Year's money, which Chen Kun used to help with tuition. During school, Chen Kun faced bullying from his stepbrother, which further alienated him from his biological father. This tough experience forced him to mature quickly, and he began working part-time at 16 to support his family. He took on various jobs, from typist to waiter and singer. In 1993, Chen Kun won an Excellence Award at the Rising Stars competition, leading his mother to arrange singing lessons for him. Supported by his stepfather, who gave him 500 yuan and said, "You are not my biological son, but emotionally, you are my son," he moved to Beijing. Chen Kun joined the Beijing Song and Dance Troupe, then the Beijing Film Academy. His role in Like Fog, Like Rain and Like Wind earned him 90,000 yuan and kicked off his career. Jet Li's father died when he was 2, leaving his mother to support him and his 4 siblings on a meager salary of 41 yuan a month, along with their grandparents. He and his brothers slept in the same bed, and he wore hand-me-down clothes from his siblings, even his sister's old clothes. At the age of 8, Jet Li began his journey into martial arts. This path wasn't easy. He faced rigorous training and had to practice for up to 8 hours a day. The training was so intense that it often led to injuries, but Jet Li's determination and resilience kept him going. He endured physical pain, including strained muscles and even fractured bones, without letting it hinder his progress. His impressive physical abilities caught the attention of a martial arts coach who cast him in Shaolin Temple at just 17 years old. The movie sold an estimated 500 million tickets at the Chinese box office, and is estimated to be China's highest-grossing film ever when adjusted for inflation. The film's success established Jet Li as the first mainland Chinese star of Hong Kong, and later Hollywood. These actors have really lived hard lives. Which story made you sad? Let me know in the comments.